Welcome and thank you everyone for joining us for another Twitter Space. Today is July 18th, 2022, and this is episode 12 of the ledgerscale Internet of Value Open Forum. Sorry, I'm getting a feedback. One sec. All right, that should be better. Now, ledgerscale was founded with two goals in mind. One, we want to provide educational services to not only our community, but to scale up the number of brains that understand how distributed ledger technology works. And two, we intend to one day run hardware to provide infrastructural support to the distributed ledger technology networks that we believe are ESG friendly and running a form of decentralized consensus. We host these spaces Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday starting at 3:30 Eastern Standard Time. And on Wednesday, we host a 5 to 6 Eastern Standard Time space on a specific topic. If you could give us a follow on Twitter at ledgerscale and turn on those notifications so you know when we are going live. And also subscribe to us on YouTube because we are streaming these daily to YouTube.
Yeah, and basically, we're here to engage the community, so please ask questions, raise your hand. If you're curious about something, I guarantee you somebody else is curious about the same thing, if not multiple other people. And so this is an open forum. On the Wednesdays, it's more of a focused forum. But if you do choose to speak up, just please be cordial and welcome to the space. And I'm really excited about this week's Wednesday space. Is going to be good, focused on the CBDC and stablecoin, and it should be I'm a little concerned that we might not be able to really get through all the information in an hour. That's going to be a tall task, but hopefully it'll be a dense, information-packed conversation. And I don't know if it, what's up?
How you guys doing today?
Pretty good, man. How are you? How's it going, Karma?
Yeah, pretty good. I want to see the I want to see the video from the SEC testimony today. I haven't seen that yet. So I went looking for the video because I'm sure it's on, like, C-SPAN or something, because I'm like a geriatric person who watches C-SPAN. But yeah, I want to see that.
Isn't that tomorrow?
I thought it was today.
Are you talking about the congressional meeting with the commissioners? Yeah, that's tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, that explains why I couldn't find it.
It'll be live. Although I'll be working, I'm gonna try and see if I can watch it.
Yeah, I want to hear that. There's going to be a lot of reading between the lines.
Well, last time we got the whole "Are you there, Daddy?" thing from one of the congressmen. So after everything that has elapsed since then, we're really gonna hopefully see some rough congressmen on the SEC. Is really what I hope to say, at least.
It's tomorrow, I believe, at 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, 10 a.m.
So 7 a.m. for those of you that are on the West Coast.
It'll probably be on YouTube, and also a couple the committee's website as well, I'm sure.
Also tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern, the derivative guys that we had on a week or two ago, they're going to be doing an IMA on Telegram, which I'm not the best Telegram user, but apparently there's a lot of crypto community engagement and collaboration that occurs through Telegram.
Yeah, on Telegram and Discord, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, I know Discord. Telegram, I don't really, honestly, outside of those derivative guys, I don't use the Telegram that much. But apparently that's the situation. So
There's a lot of news going on today. Celsius had its first bankruptcy hearing today in court via Zoom, and Alex was there via Zoom on the call. So one of the things that they came out with was that uh, they're saying that the reason they went insolvent is pretty much because of the market manipulation in the market, but they don't really go into specifics. And hold on, I'm pulling up some stuff right now. So let's see here. Bear with me for just 1 second.
Yeah. So one thing, they had a huge loan that they had lent out to Three Arrows. I forgot what.
$2.36 billion.
Yeah.
To Three Arrows.
So that could also be part of it.
So Celsius lawyer Pat Nash disclosed during the hearing that the company is under investigation in relation to compliance and with federal and state security laws.
Yeah,
However,
and of course the market, right? Because if the market, right, if they failed because of the market, they could just say, "Oh, it was a failed operation. It was just the business model that failed, right? Not that we took leverage positions and gambled other people's money away, and we lost. Sorry, because that's what it's going to come down to, I think."
Yep.
dude, when I worked at Fidelity, like the trader people, we called there was a compliance team, but there was a head compliance lady, and we called her the angel of death, like Death Ranger, because if she came over and tapped you on the shoulder, no one was ever going to see you again. They would take your badge, they'd walk you out to your car, and you were gone.
That's why I'm scared of meeting Death Ranger in person.
Just depends on the setting.
Well, and it wasn't. They would pay you out for like 2 weeks, but you were gone. You never had access to the building again. I mean, that happened to not often, but happened often enough that people knew. That's for sure. Like, I don't, you would kind of sort of through the grapevine kind of hear why and what happened, but people, yeah, man, if that lady came and tapped you on the shoulder, you were going to go to her office, and she's going to take your badge, and you were fired, and you were walked out the building in 10 minutes and never allowed access to systems again. Period. Done. Gone. Bye. And there was reasons for that. I don't think that was unnecessary, but there was reasons for that, because like one of the things would be like, say you were like maybe interviewing with a competitive brokerage. Okay, they don't want you to have access to their customer, all the systems where you could. I mean, dude, we had access to everything. Because you could just like take all that customer information, go to a different company, and start calling on those customers. And I mean, there was a bunch of different reasons. I mean, that's just one sort of obvious one, but there was a bunch of reasons why that was the way the protocol was done. Anyway, I didn't mean to go straight to Death Angel, or what do we call her? Yeah, dude, she was like the angel of death. Like, you were gone. You did not want to talk to that lady. I promise you. Not if you wanted to keep your job, you didn't. No. And she wasn't a mean lady, but she was very polite and mild mannered. But still, if you ended up talking to her, you were gone.
That's corporate life for you.
Yeah, I was employee number, I don't know, 50 something thousand. At that point, you don't matter. Your skill. This is one thing that does bother me about the kind of corporate world is I get it in another sense. I can make a positive argument, but from a personal point of view, if I'm employee number 50,000, whatever, I can't really make an impact on this organization, right? Like if I'm employee number 1, 2, or 3, or at least under 10, um, there's a chance I can help the trajectory of this situation, whatever the company's doing, organization was doing. Right? Like you're just another cow that gets run through the freaking, dairy farm and, stuck in a head clamp with a nipple sucker to get the milk out of you so they can sell milk. Like, and then they're going to, you're just not, I don't know, man. That's something that it's important to me. Like if I'm going to spend my time really thinking about something, I want it to make a difference. If there's no reasonable way for me to make a difference, then I don't know that I really want to bother with, putting out the effort.
Well,
That makes
that's why we're doing these Twitter spaces, because we hope that other than us valuable from hearing the community speak, we hope everybody else finds it valuable that the information that we have provided. And I like to say the thousands of hours I think I've spent researching and doing my due diligence on what this space is really all about.
Yeah, in some sense, I totally agree with you. Like for real. Like I mean, I've done. I've never really thought about it in that terms, but I've probably done thousands of hours worth of. I don't even know if you'd call it research. I'd call it maybe curiosity, because I'm just curious. Like, how the hell's this stuff work? Like, this can't be. Okay, all right, maybe
I look at it.
like, what's up?
It all depends on how you look at it, because one lesson that could be taught to one person can be taken another way from to another. So it's all about the perspective. But if you can absorb all the information and then make a critical decision based off of everything that you've taken in from everything in life, right? Then you can truly have like good critical thinking.
I think that's completely required. That's like a prerequisite almost.
Yep. And on other news, there was another thing with the exchanges today, but Binance got sued by Dutch authorities for saying that they are not complying with their anti-terrorism money laundering act. So that's
No, they've been fined 3.3 billion euros by
wow.
the Dutch central bank for refusing to register with the Anti Money Laundering and Terrorist Finance Prevention Act.
If they haven't done it there, I'm sure they haven't done it anywhere. So that's probably going to lead to more.
Well, I mean, two things. So 3.3 million euros is nothing to Binance. And the other thing is, what do they have to hide? How come they're not? Why wouldn't you register with them, with the Anti Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Prevention Act? Why wouldn't you abide by that? I mean, it's kind of like it should be, common practice.
No, yeah, but it's called opening up your books to be looked at by regulators, and
Bingo.
if they're what I think they're doing is controlling the entire market personally through Tether and with Bitfinex, then Yeah, that would probably be the end of everything. So why they would never
They,
do that. That's the last straw.
they have something really big to hide for them not to abide by that act.
Well, how do they think they're going to hide anything? These are public ledgers. I mean, these guys aren't that stupid.
No, but they're criminal.
I mean, I don't know that. It could be. I don't know. But I just think it's foolish to think you're going to hide something on a public ledger. I mean, and okay, maybe you can like distribute it across multiple public ledgers and obfuscate, but no, dude, public ledger.
So this is going back to the Celsius thing, the hearing today. This just came out. Celsius lawyer Ross, I don't even know his last name, how to pronounce that, reassures Judge Glenn that the crypto is in their custody. Uh, the lawyer for Celsius stated, Celsius has never suffered a loss or a hack of crypto assets that are within our control, he says. Issues only occurred when Celsius invested the assets, he adds.
Issues only occurred when they invested.
So yeah, because the judge is wondering as to what's he said so the lawyer for Celsius responded to this because the the judge said he's concerned as to where and how the company's crypto is being held, given the apocalypse in crypto markets. Today I'm dealing with Celsius, tomorrow it may be others. That's what the judge says. So the lawyer responded with, Celsius has never suffered a loss or a hack. So they're saying they still have the crypto. But I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think they do either. And so this is where I think what's coming in with all these exchanges, Karma, is they are lending each other things that they don't even have. And so in the case of Binance, it's possible that they've done the same thing, and that's how they're able to leverage so much.
Well, leverage is a double-edged sword. What's that? What's that? Oh, it's like I think it's like an old Greek thing, or maybe it's Roman. I forget. Damocles or Dumiciles or something or another sword, like the the sword that's hanging over your head. Like that's leverage, in a sense. You can. This is why there's a saying for real estate development that real estate development is a young man's game, right? Because you use a lot of leverage when you're doing a development, and you can lose your ass real quick if you're over leveraged and the market turns on you. And young men are generally foolish enough to do that kind of thing. Dude, leverage it's a good thing when used prudently, and it can absolutely wipe you out if used not prudently. I mean, it can wipe out not just you as like an individual or a company, but like an industry. Because sometimes entire industries get over leveraged. In some sense, what we're watching here with crypto is the industry leveraged up, and that's going to have to balance out at some point. Like a little bit of leverage is good and desirable. Too much leverage will kill you. Not enough leverage will make you not competitive. So you gotta like be, I guess, prudent's actually probably a pretty good word about like how do you find that spot where the industry, the company, the person, all the way, each one of those sort of think of those as each a different scale scale of sort of economic activity. I hope that makes sense anyway. I think that should make sense.
Made sense to me at least. But welcome up, Shellfish and Chris. Thank you guys for coming up and speaking with us today.
Is Binance's head office in the Netherlands? Is that why they're suing them there?
No. Binance's head office is in starts with an M, I think. It's a tiny little country.
Like Myanmar or something?
I thought it was Singapore. Is it not Singapore?
Used to be Singapore, but I actually, I think the headquarters is there, but it was actually registered in another country in a woman's name for a significant amount of time. So it might be different right now. But
So did the office in the Netherlands just drop the ball? I mean, why just go after that one?
Malta. Thank you, Kashta. With the save. There you go. See, I knew it had an M in it. Yeah.
Well, Malta, at least to me, is a bit of a red flag. There's a lot of money laundering and stuff with Russia that goes through Malta.
It's full of pirates, as they would call the modern day pirates.
What they call themselves modern day pirates? That's stupid. They can't do that. That would be retarded. What?
See the country though. There are a couple countries like that.
So I guess there were reports that they actually were located in the Cayman Islands as well.
Up until what was it, 2020? I think it was right around 2019, 2020. There was a woman who actually owned Binance. It was her name in the title, and so and then it was handed off to CZ. It was interesting. I wonder if it's still easy to find. Anyway,
I don't know, man. If I was starting like a new financial service, the last thing in the world I would do is refer to myself as a pirate. That's just the whole connotation is just bad. Like,
well, they say pirate because it's somebody who's like a mercenary. There's mercenaries, right, but don't have any military training. So you're a pirate in that sense, right?
So I looked into the Malta thing right now. There's no indication or any document showing that they are headquartered in Malta. So they were funded and operated, registered in the Cayman Islands. Then that's out. So they don't currently have a headquarters anywhere. They have offices in Malta, which is one of their European offices. But other than that, there's no paperwork from what I'm looking at right now that there is.
I think what it was is if you look up Malta, and if you look up all the registries and documents, I'm pretty sure Binance Ltd was founded there in a woman's name and then handed off to CZ in like 2020, and that's where the actual title of ownership of the
It was funded. It was founded and registered in 2017 in the Cayman Islands.
I think if you can look it up though in the registry of the because you can register in multiple places. Obviously, you have to for business.
Okay, here's something on Malta. On February 21st of 2020, the Malta Financial Services Authority issued a public statement responding to media reports referring to Binance as a Malta-based cryptocurrency company. The statement noted that Binance is not authorized by the MFSA to operate in the cryptocurrency sphere and is therefore not subject to regulatory oversight by the MFSA. The MFSA added that it was assessing if Binance has any activities in Malta which may not fall within the realm of regulatory oversight.
Yeah, very very sketchy. But Kashta actually said asked me to ask if anybody heard about the Polysign video, which I actually did not hear about. So I'm not sure if you have either, Tony.
No, which video?
I'm not sure. He said, "Did you hear the Polysign video by Tony? Good stuff. Did you make a video?"
I did not make a video. I'm sure he's speaking of Tony, the Talking Crypto.
Oh, very
or
possibly.
Thinking Crypto. What's his channel? I always forget. Is it Talking or Thinking Crypto?
Oh, if he did an interview with someone from PolySign, I would be interested in watching that. He does good stuff. I like his work for sure.
Okay, so there's a video with Jack McConnell. I'm sure that's the one he's talking about. Jack McConnell interviewed PolySign $53 million funding. That came out today.
Hey, yeah, I'm pretty sure that is her name. Yeah, I think that was it was Helen. Helen Hay. That's the actual company's owner, or was until like 2020.
Yeah, I think PolySign just did another funding round in the last month or so. Pretty sure about that.
Yeah, it was they PolySign. That was when they had wasn't it BlackRock when was it BlackRock?
It was BlackRock.
Yeah, it was like the $250 million round funding round, right?
Yeah, that was like 3 months. I believe 3 months ago.
Yeah, feels like longer. Yeah. I think it was only 3.
PolySign's going to be huge. We were just talking a second ago, and I wanted to say something about custody. What were we talking about? Binance or no? Was it Binance? Yeah.
Any exchange, not your keys, not your crypto.
Well, there's definitely an element of truth to that. I don't know. Somebody said something, and the first thing that popped into my head was custody. Like, if they're gonna change their like where they're registered and all this stuff, how does that affect the custody of the assets that are deposited in the organization? Would be like one of my first questions.
Yeah, it looks like Thinking Crypto. Tony from Thinking Crypto had a interview with Jack McDonald, so that'll be good to watch later.
He's had him on before. He's a good listen.
I'll have to check that out.
Anybody here familiar with the merge happening on Ethereum?
Well, the supposed Ethereum 2.0 proof of stake will launch September 19th. There hasn't really been a ton of other stuff that's really been released, but I guess we'll have to see.
It's pretty crazy. It's supposed to bring it down by 99.5% of energy consumption.
Yeah, it's proof of stake, yeah. But you also have to think about the 63 or something percent of people who like had who were in the ICO, which still have tokens that still exist today. They pretty much are going to just own the network. They're just taking the throne.
The rich get richer.
That's what I feel like I keep watching.
This is the economic, like, systemic problem with proof of stake. As far as I'm concerned, proof of stake's already a failed model. Like, it's just not a model that's gonna. I mean, it works. I guess it's better than proof of work, but actually, I kind of think proof of work might be better than proof of stake in some sense.
Oh, well, this is interesting. So, you know how we were just talking about the hearing, the Celsius hearing that's going on right now? So, turns out the lawyer just lied to the judge.
Of course he did. It's
Right? Remember
job.
what I was talking to you about? telling you about that they've never suffered a hack. So he stated Celsius has never suffered a loss or a hack of crypto assets that were within our control. That was his statement. However, it says here the most embarrassing involved a project called Badger DAO, which had been hacked in 2021 and issued a new token to investors, including Celsius, to mitigate losses. This token gave investors rights to any future profits and recovered monies on the condition that they did not sell. In March, Celsius did just that. Pleas for a reversal were rejected.
Oh, over some weird token too. Wow, that's a weird one.
But if I'm understanding that right, wouldn't that mean that the other thing got hacked, not Celsius, and Celsius was a holder?
Yeah, but it's bringing them down. It's
right, but they said
that's
in
what court's
court,
all about. Is lawyers making arguments, and that's
right, and in court, the lawyer for Celsius says they've never suffered a loss or a hack of crypto assets that were within their control.
It's all up to the judge to see, okay, through the technology and understand, well, that had nothing to do with them, or only understand what's being presented in front of them, which is, it's pretty difficult for an older judge. He's making a good argument.
Man, stuff that's going to happen in this industry over the next several years, it's already kind of insane what's happened. But the stuff that's going to happen, I mean, I don't know what it is or how it's going to unfold, but it's just going to be like super it's going to catch people off guard. Let's just put it that way. I think I can pretty well 100% say the stuff that's going to happen with this, like the internet, the stuff that happened with the internet caught a lot of industries off guard. And the same thing's happening here, except this go around has to do with money and finance.
So the U.S. attorney who's representing the government here, her name is Shada Cornell, wrapped Celsius' level of disclosure in its bankruptcy filing, including lack of information about regulatory actions. She said Celsius confidentiality concerns are unwarranted and stated, I've been able to find more details just by a quick Google search.
Oh boy. They're just making them look really bad. And it doesn't even mean that it's 100% accurate, because we understand, right, from like what you said, Karma, it is it's technically like some weird token that had some sort of hack, and that because their platform was involved, technically, right? They were involved in the sense of, I guess, the way that they're looking at it. My question is, right, is what happens is somebody goes to jail? Like, what Celsius filed for bankruptcy, right? So we know maybe, hopefully, some of the people could be paid in some sort of restitution, where they're if not made whole, at least something, right? And if it comes down that they're prosecuted for fraud and all these things, what do you think really occurs? I mean, I don't know if I see anyone singular being able to go to jail.
That's what I was about to say. Can they really nail him though for fraud without there being any regulations? Like, I think the only thing they can really do, that they really have a strong case against to put him in jail, or anybody in Celsius for that matter in jail, would be the whole what's that department, FDIC, the insurance thing that they were telling people that they are insured up to $250,000.
Yeah, that's the FDIC. But banks pay into that. The banks pay the premium. They pass the cost on to their customers, but banks pay the premium for FDIC.
Yeah, and in this case, they were lying about it on their website to all their holders, and they already stated that only
No, you can't
they would
say
get a
you're
fraction.
FDIC insured.
Wait, are you serious?
You can't
Yeah, they
say you're
had it,
FDIC insured and not be
Yeah,
FDIC insured.
that's the DOJ. That's the Department of Justice that gets involved in people like the U.S. Treasury and um, I don't
Yeah,
understand.
that would be a material misrepresentation of the facts. That's fraud.
which is what they did. That's the only thing I would think that they actually have a strong case against Celsius on. The
Well,
rest,
you can't
the
just
rest is
go
in fraud.
claim that you're FDIC insured. Like, you just can't. You can't just. I don't even. I'm not even. Not, I mean, you just can't do that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kind of confused actually.
they ended up putting that on their website. There's screenshots of it. What I
Oh,
was gonna
Kyle
say,
is saying that they were FDIC insured. He said they didn't lie on it.
but they're saying they're not.
Oh, so now they're saying they're not. You're saying?
No, there was regulators saying that they were not. Yeah,
Wait,
I'll look it up
I'm
because
confused.
they were not backed by the FDIC.
Oh man. If that's accurate, that's
I'm
yeah.
confused. That's just total misrepresentation. I mean, is that? Am I hearing you right?
Yes, there are screenshots that said that they were
So
backed by the FDIC.
are FDIC insured, but it only covers certain losses. So I guess that would not obviously not cover anything crypto related.
Right. So which means that they are not going to be receiving most of their crypto back.
I see only for certain losses, and that's why they were talking about they didn't lose anything to hack, because they could lose for bad investments and not be FDIC insured, but they were insured for any direct losses from direct hacks to their assets under their custody, and that's where the confusion come in. A lot of people thought it was general FDIC, but it was only covering specifically losses to hacks or things like that under assets under their custody.
So if they're not covered under hacks, then that means there's no insurance at all.
Not for crypto.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Okay, so, and I'm sure things have evolved, and I'm probably surely unaware of some things that have evolved. But the original crypto insurance policy was out of a syndicate from the Lloyd's of London. And what they would insure is your business operations, right? They wouldn't insure the crypto that you had as basically in custody. They wouldn't insure, well, I mean, they sort of kind of insured if you got hacked, because what they did insure was your operations. And they would come in and look and.
Sorry, Deb, I said that wrong. Actually, they were only insuring the USD that was on their platform, and that's where the confusion came in. Sorry, I did state that wrong. They were only supposed to be FDIC for the USD deposit that were under their custody.
So this is what I found from their risk disclosure agreement. It says right here, these terms and that deposit relationship does not create a fiduciary relationship between us and you. Your account is not a checking or savings account. It is not covered by insurance against losses. We may lend, sell, pledge, hypothecate, assign, invest, use, commingle, or otherwise dispose of funds and eligible digital assets to counterparties, or hold the eligible digital assets with counterparties, and we will use our best commercial and operational efforts to prevent losses.
What
Most digital assets are
agreement?
not legal tender and are not backed by any government, and accounts and value balances are not subject to Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation or Security Investments Protection Corporation protections.
Yeah. Is
That
this part of
means
their
they're
agreement?
leaving every single option available open to create leverage.
They cover their asses.
So, flag on the play. Not that, I mean, leverage isn't terrible. It's not like a 100% always bad thing. It's a good thing in a lot of cases. But that leaves every single option for them creating leverage open.
Yeah, to be fair, it's like a typical user agreement from a company. Basically, we can do anything we want with your information and your things that you give us.
Now listen to this part. Transactions in digital assets may be irreversible, and accordingly, losses due to fraudulent or accidental transactions may not be recoverable. Any secured account maintained by Celsius for the benefit of its customers may not be sufficient to cover all losses incurred by customers.
I do know there is a crypto platform called Bumper that provides insurance for losses, I believe.
What was its name?
Bumperfy.
I'll look into it.
Yeah, I was gonna participate in their ICO, but I never did.
So how are they providing the insurance? Is the insurance through their token?
Yeah, I believe so. It's like a membership. You receive insurance by your amount of holdings, I believe.
Check this part out. Although Celsius takes precautionary measures to protect against cyber threats, circumstances may arise where losses or damages incur. In that event, Celsius shall use its balance sheet to cover damages. If the losses exceed Celsius' balance sheet, you authorize Celsius to use eligible digital assets to absorb the remaining losses. So no one's getting their shit back.
Isn't the same like with Coinbase? I think wasn't this the same line?
Exact thing, yeah.
All the same.
Yeah.
It's the same typical stuff. Every company does it, unfortunately.
I believe Bumper is built on Ethereum too, by the way, Death Grinder.
I had a feeling you were going to say that too. So it was going to be my next question. But
yeah,
all of these user agreements are unfortunately like this now. It does not mean it's legally binding, right? Just because some company says something or somebody says something and you sign a document doesn't make it necessarily like legal that it's correct in that aspect. Because if they're doing wrong things, right, in the sense of like Celsius losing all of that value, they should be held accountable. And I'm not necessarily sure how, because it's like, who do you really arrest, right? Do you arrest the CEO or do you arrest the CTO? I don't know. It's hard, but it's definitely something that should be done, unfortunately, for all those people.
I mean, we see like with, it's not one by one the same case, but with Mount Gox, for example, like how long did they drag this, until people finally got their stuff back or the equivalent of the money. They have like an army of lawyers, like they can wriggle so much.
This is why we need regulation. I mean, there's so many people who want to keep it decentralized, but I mean, who's going to protect people who want to come into the space and don't really know much about it?
Yeah, I mean, like with Celsius, for example, or and the insurance, like why should be a casino FDIC insured, basically.
Yeah, but thank you for coming up, that, and Chris also, welcome up.
So this is an interesting interview that Alex had last year. It said, what he stated in the interview, when you're using other platforms that are like Celsius, what you care about is who is the borrower. Is the lender doing non-collateralized loans? Celsius does not do non-collateralized loans. Celsius will not do that because that would be taking too much risk on your behalf. Well, that aged well.
Well, that just goes to show you that they in general, companies, right? They have no problem lying to your face before something happens or goes down. Right? They're going to act like everything is completely fine until they file for bankruptcy, and then they'll still. It's crazy because they still are acting like. I feel bad for so many people who are almost like hyping Celsius up, like they're going to survive, right? And this is all. Everything is going to be okay with them.
I mean, what we clearly saw with Celsius, and I mean, it started basically with Luna, and the contagion, was like insane. Like people were like, there were some people I think who expected, the Luna collapse, and they were very vocal about it weeks ahead. But like everything after, the contagion wave, let's say, Celsius, Three Arrow Capital, I think that caught many off guard.
The worst part about this whole, I think, well, I shouldn't say the worst part, right? There's many bad parts, but something bad about Do Kwon himself. Like 2 weeks before this happened, he said he likes to watch projects crash and burn. So that's a serious indication that there's something wrong going on with him specifically.
He's psychotic to say that.
Yeah,
I mean, they all kind of shared a similar approach to this. I mean, sorry?
I do agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's what was it with Celsius? Like the CEO was like also very loud, like days before everything went south, and it was like, or yeah, like even month before it, like saying there is no better platform for safety and everything, and
He said banks are not your friend.
yeah. Now his assets are under a bank.
It's kind of funny, right? How a lot of these business models start with kind of being like anti-establishment, anti-centric to banks and things, and then they end up working with banks.
Yeah, I think that's totally BS. It's just, I think, very, they try to, hold up the romantic about being so decentralized and everything. Like the truth is, like nothing is really that. It's a spectrum, and we are definitely like there's very little to getting full decentralized. Like you always have like some parts who are not so decentralized.
Yeah, I agree. And decentralization is always better measured in scale and better than anything like absolute. In the end of the day, anyway. But yeah, I agree. It's I think I would say sufficiently decentralized.
Yeah, it's definitely not binary.
Well, this is one of the reasons I thought it made so much sense for when like Larson's strategy to work with the banks was like, well, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Like, come on, of course. Like, what do you think? You're gonna just create a parallel universe? That's
exactly.
If
you're gonna change everything, you need to change it from the inside out, not from the outside in.
Dude, there's a saying that I can't remember, and I've looked more than once for who said this, because I didn't come up with this. But somebody said, and this is like an older, like well before I was alive. And they said innovation is sort of sparked, I'm paraphrasing here, from outside of an industry, but it's implemented from inside the industry. So this is why, okay, so maybe the innovation of decentralized and whatnot is from outside of the banking industry, but it's going to be implemented by the banking industry. I mean, and the central banks as well. I mean, that's kind of not exactly the same, but sort of. I mean, obviously they're connected because it's all about networking. I mean, banking is a networking business. All these balance sheets are networked together. If they weren't, you couldn't move money. I mean, and if you can't move money, then it kind of uses or loses its utility. Like, there's no point in even using the thing if you can't move it around. So it's all like anyway, networks. I guess you just got to understand what's being networked. In this case, balance sheets and ledgers are being, well, balance sheet is kind of, well, it's not exactly the same thing as a ledger, but they're that's what's being networked. So, I don't know. I guess that's a little bit more than a lot of people want to spend time looking at, but that's all that's going on here, as far as I can tell.
So I tried looking at if the USD is insured, and it doesn't say anything about that. And also, another thing that came up is the FDIC is investigating or looking into those claims, as well as the claims that Voyager claimed also the same thing, that it was insured by the FDIC. So there's that, but I couldn't find something that even the USD is protected or insured, I guess you could say,
Well,
because
if they're
the
holding a
FDIC,
large amount of USD, they'd have to get it FDIC insured. If not, that they're going to get they'd get
but
prosecuted.
they're not a bank though, because the
Yeah,
FDIC, there's something here that said something about FDIC insuring banks. They would have to be a bank.
They would have to. The only way, I guess there's two ways. They would either have to be a bank and be registered, and I'm sure they would have license numbers and everything available. If they're not saying that, then it just means they have a bank account, right? And that bank account's deposit is FDIC.
correct. Under the purview of another bank, exactly, or a partnership with another bank. Because if they're holding a whole bunch of cash, if they're holding the cash, they're going to have to be FDIC insured. So they're not. They're probably a bank is holding their cash, and that, like just like Karma said, that bank is probably FDIC insured, so that the cash would be FDIC insured. But it's a crypto exchange. Everybody's crypto's gone. It's who knows, and they're in a huge pile of debt, so they got no cash. So who even cares for the FDIC insurance at that point, right?
So this is interesting. So the U.S. attorney in the Celsius case said that they are skeptical about Celsius' plan to keep spending money building out its mining operation, and asked, why not just liquidate its mining assets and move on?
I'm telling you, I'm really curious. I started a whole thread on XRP Ledger chat, I don't know, a year or two ago. And I was like, let's just go crazy for a second. And let's say I run a big mining operation. I got a warehouse full of ASICs. And all of a sudden, Bitcoin's worth 0 and proof of work's gone. Okay. Now put yourself in that position. What do you do with all those ASICs? Right? You got this, you got all this computational power. There's clearly got to be options for things to do with those assets. I don't know which would be the best option, or what use case would be the best to repurpose the assets to. Gaming, I think, requires a lot of it. So maybe like lease out the hardware to like gaming companies or something. I don't know. Like
cloud infrastructure, maybe. Yeah.
Did you guys hear that Coinbase is supposed to suspend their marketing program in the U.S. the affiliate marketing program?
I think it was suspended immediately for when they announced that. Yeah, they ended that service. But so
They did already?
yeah, it was like as soon as they announced that, I think it was an immediate. Oh wait, no, maybe you're right. Maybe it is like the July 23rd or something. Yeah, but Coinbase though, it's funny because I've seen a lot of people saying today about Coinbase maybe be filing for bankruptcy and being one of those exchanges that go down, but they have a ton of cash still. As much as their earnings is down and the stocks are down and everything, but they still have a ton of cash on the side. So I don't know. I don't see anything bad happening for them. I think they're just trying to lessen the amount of money they output.
Just to add to Karma's question, I do see the gaming industry being able to use that. A lot of the processing of the graphics is now being done on the server side, which is being pushed via web browsers to
I can't
use.
really hear you. It sounds like you're under ocean. Was that for everybody else also, or was that just me?
No,
Yeah,
Is that
I
better?
couldn't hear him
Yeah,
either.
I couldn't hear much.
Yeah, I
Yes.
agree with Karma. Like the gaming industry, that's probably be the most prominent industry to take over. A lot of the graphics processing is now being done on the server side, making it a lot easier for users and gamers and consumers to be able to play these higher end games without having to process all that themselves.
oh, I can see that. I can see that. And you know what's interesting? So if you look at, what's the guy? Cesar Hagliero, the dude, I think he's an MIT dude with the long hair, um, who talks about like complexity economics and whatnot. One of the key conclusions that he was able through his research to conclude was that basically at the country scale anyway, well, I mean at the company scale too, but and I'm going to stretch this to the industry scale, right? Think of running this hardware as the industry. Forget that the purpose is anything to do with crypto, right? That's irrelevant. The purpose is totally the fact is you got a bunch of physical machines here that you operate. Cool. And so they grow and evolve into adjacent industries, and you already have gaming as an industry, which that's not an industry that's going to like disappear. It's going to growing into the crypto or melding or adopting or merging, or I don't know which words you want to use, but the two industries are coming together. You got gaming picking up the crypto tool and using it for their gaming stuff, right? And then I do think you have the opportunity, or at least a non-zero probability, that a lot of these things become not profitable to operate for the application of proof of work and proof of stake, or well, really proof of work. And yeah, I could see them getting repurposed to games. That's probably the best answer I've ever gotten. I've asked that question more than once.
Renting other people's hardware is getting more and more popular through cloud gaming. So I do agree. I personally like having my own hardware for gaming wise, but it's definitely something that's going to be huge in the future. It already is.
Especially introducing metaverses. That's I don't know if I can consider that gaming, because I guess it's maybe the social platform.
I call it gaming. Yeah.
Yeah, I would use the social platform because you can interact with people. I would say that's part of the new Meta, the new MySpace is going to be happening. You'll be able to go to somebody's profile, maybe it's their house and customize house. Maybe like what Ledger City is doing. It's and the graphics. The graphics are only getting better year by year. Yeah.
Well, I would think of the metaverse as a game because I'm pretty sure, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but from like a computational point of view, whether I'm running around shooting people or just walking around talking to folks about something, um, it's the same, like the machines are going to have to perform the same kind of.
Yeah, see, I agree, Karma, because like, and Shellfish, thank you for raising your hand. You go right after me. Like in the sense of like, I can even think of like Call of Duty, right? Uh, you think about like everybody in the world of Call of Duty, like that's like a metaverse, right? Like you're in a map real quick with like 8 other people. You're in your own little world. The thing is I think metaverse is just this term we're using for these new virtual worlds that are like a new revamp of the term of virtual reality from like 2000 because that kind of failed. Um, but I think of it as a game for sure. It's, I mean, life is a game, so it's just another part of it. But go ahead, Shellfish.
Yeah, isn't the Omniverse going to be utilizing more of the graphics card, like because it's going to be a lot more detailed, it's more lifelike. It's going to be more of the situation where you can't differentiate reality from virtual. um, I sent like there was a link I found this morning on the IBM stuff that showed the NVIDIA graphics cards using the AI, and I already know that BMW is using it for simulations. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like the metaverse is like minuscule as far as the graphics compared to what the Omniverse is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, omniverse, metaverse, virtual. It's just another virtual reality where our consciousness is being able to be taken to and examined, right? And so, um, I don't know. You can call it whatever you want, but I'm just excited for it, whatever it is.
It just seems like the metaverse is more pixelated compared to the Omniverse.
Well, it's just term. Well, I mean, they're just terms. We're just calling them different things, right? I say metaverse is just a failed term for virtual reality, and technically omniverse would just be like a higher pixel, or you could call it like a higher graphics virtual reality. It's all just still virtual reality, or
Well, think of it this way, Death. A metaverse is like a ledger, like a XRP ledger or Stellar or Bitcoin or Ethereum, what have you. An omniverse is an internet of value where they're all connected.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I like that. I like that. That's cool. And if we crown that, listen, you have to crown that, right? If all of a sudden people are like, have you guys heard about the new Omniverse, which is like the metaverse of all the metaverses connected? You have to be like, I made that term, all right, Shellfish, because I'll make sure that
I think there's already one like that already out there. I think
they called it the Omniverse. Oh, great.
yeah.
Huge green candle, though. You had your hand up, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a guy who started buying music on iTunes. Remember we could buy the songs for 99 cents, and then when they were going to that subscription model, where everybody could rent their music, I was pretty against that when it first came out. I'm like, why would anybody want to rent? I'm not sure if that kind of has relation to what we're kind of talking about here, but when you said you like to own the hardware. Um, there's an interesting thing. I haven't invested personally, but I remember hearing about a token called Render, and their token was graphics power, offloading graphics calculations to, I guess, external servers. I'm not sure too much about the project, but that might be one to look at. Their Death. If you're kind of, well, maybe not for you because you like to have your hardware, but the opposing spectrum is maybe that.
Yeah, look, you're getting paid out for providing a service. It's just like, do you want to get paid out in this token that you maybe think that's going to have an increased value in the future? Or do you want to get paid out in like cash, like a cloud computing service? But yeah, 100%. And Dirk, thank you for coming up. You raised your hand. I think if you want to go, and then Kashta, go ahead, man.
Can I make a? I'll try to make it a quick statement. Is that okay?
Yeah, good. Good. I'm sure they're all right.
I just want to address what he was saying. So, in Death, we've talked about this regarding ledgerscale as well. So you have to think of the difference between a capital expense and a marginal expense. And so when you go to from buying the music, which is a capital expense, right? You got to pay for it all up front. Okay, but then you own the asset. Then you go to a marginal expense where it's like you don't really own the asset, but you have access to it. You know, it's the difference between buying the house and renting the house kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and you
And
have even a much larger access to what I currently have. You know, like I have a small library. I have access to a much larger library. Now, if you own it, I guess you could download it and burn it to a DVD or a CD. You know, if anybody still does that, nobody probably. But you could own it. I guess you could download it to a hard drive. But I guess it's is it still DRM? I'm not sure now because I just have this subscription. But you know, how much do you own it? Like, move it around super easily. I haven't tried, but is it worth it with all the different streamings?
well, it's somewhat like, and I'll make to bring it back to crypto. You know, with ledgerscale, we'd like to run some hardware, and you know, there's a capital expense there. But then we can enable projects to spin up and only incur a marginal expense, but still sort of carry their load. Right? Like at least they're economically viable because they can carry their load or carry their weight, if you will. I don't know. Sorry, whoever had their hand up, go for it.
It was Dirk and then Kashta.
Hi guys, thank you for putting me on speaker there. I just jumped in and you probably know who I am. I'm the founder of Expectra and I was listening to what you were saying about metaverses. And I think there's several interesting things. The hardware, of course, is something that's quite underestimated. We are building on Unreal Engine 5 with a hyper-realistic graphics. And to get them to people in a good way, there are two possibilities. Or everybody will need to install software on their hardware, their personal laptop or their computer. And the other thing we are investigating is pixel streaming. But the problem of pixel streaming is that it's very expensive, and you will need servers everywhere in the world to make sure that people will get it without delay. And we underestimated it a bit, and it will cost at least as much as the metaverse itself to build it. So that's something that we are exploring now. And the thing is also about metaverses and gaming. I think you could compare it to a game, but most metaverses at this stage are mostly social. There's not much to do. And I think that we just partnered up with an esports team to build our metaverse as a game, which is also social sandbox type game, but I think that we have to find solutions to make it attractive to lots of people as well, and to build it as a game, and in combination with being a graphical interface to the internet and to all the information available.
Oh, thank you for coming up and speaking about that. I saw you in the audience, and I know that you were you guys have been building your metaverse and a game out, and just wanted to hear like how it's been for you. And it's cool to hear that you've already you've discovered some things, and it's interesting to hear like the computing is out there, but it's in a very expensive service.
Well, if you want to do it right, I think that there are only a couple of companies that are able to provide the necessary services, and that's Amazon, Microsoft, and some similar companies.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to bring up earlier. The newcomers, they really have to compete against those, the big three, and it's because I guarantee you, they're already building the infrastructure. I guarantee you.
Yeah, go ahead, Kashta. You put your hand up, man, and then Chris. Thank you guys for raising your hands.
Yeah, just real quick, I'd like to hear more from the Spectre guy because I've been reading a lot about it, but I'm glad he jumped in and gave that information. I'd like to hear more. But I was going to say, when y'all talk about repurposing miners, they're ASIC miners, so they're application-specific miners. They SHA cryptographic hashes, so it's not repurposable for just any general computing kind of application. So just so y'all kind of were aware of that.
Yep, very right. Yeah, you'd only be able to do like CPU things with it, I think.
Go ahead, Chris.
It's been really good for parallel processing, which if you think about a game, think about like trying to make like a metaverse or like a Fortnite or something. Um, you have to be processing things from each like player slash user's point of view. That's a lot of parallel processing. I think that's how it works. I'm not 100% sure. There's probably people in here that know better than I.
Yeah, I think early on, I had estimated Dirk's cost for being able to stream the game rather than the user having the hardware to actually play the game itself would be around €1 million a year based on a small amount of users, because you're going to be looking at probably around $1,500 per live user you have at a time for just the hardware, and then the connection that you need is going to be crazy because I mean you're going to be streaming at minimum 1080p video, and it can't have a delay, and you're not going to be able to do much processing on that video, so it's going to be near raw. So streaming is terrible
That's
the
something.
way it is now. Like until we're all on fiber internet and hardware price comes down, it's not going to gain a whole lot of popularity. But I am really interested in being able to rent a hardware like that and not have a gaming PC, so that you can do it on the go kind of thing. Fire it up on your MacBook Air and off you go. But Wi-Fi is not even really good enough for it for most people. I mean, I think people still struggle with Wi-Fi connections. But Dirk, if I could make a suggestion, since you got all these connections and stuff, I would look at Google Stadia, because if you can get your game in Google Stadia, the way that works is you can stream it to almost any device, but they have a special controller that you can also buy. It's not required, but if you buy the controller, it connects directly to the internet, not through the interface, like through the device that you're streaming on. That way, there's a lot less ping time. Your controls from their controller are going straight to their servers over the internet rather than going to your device and then being repeated that way. And Stadia is still pretty limited on the games that they have, so I'm sure they're still looking for more games that are willing to be on that platform. And Google
Can you
hardware for it.
explain that? Can you explain that part again? I think I
So
follow.
with Google Stadia, what you're doing is you're playing a game on their servers, and it's just streaming the video to your laptop or whatever device you could. There's all kinds of devices you can stream this game on, and Google has a special controller that connects to your Wi-Fi, so that it's not going through your computer first. It's just removing that one layer, so that your controller and your controls are going straight over the internet to Google, so that it can stream back without as much lag.
Yeah,
Because your
no
computer
lag.
can slow it down as well, right?
Yep, that's very interesting.
Well, we are in contact now with NVIDIA and with Microsoft and exploring the possibilities. We also partnered with a university in Belgium. They will be having a new course from next year, which is called Metaverse Architecture. So we will partner up with them and their students, and we're looking up at the several possibilities. I think that our first part episode, the art gallery and the Metaverse environment will be ready at the end of September, I hope, and we hope that we will find a solution by that time to make it available to our holders and to other people who want to use it. I think that the pixel streaming cost we calculated at this stage was about $0.08 per minute per user, and I think we can get it down quite easily to $0.01 per user per minute. But still, there has to be a better solution. But I think that we chose not to build on Unity and use Unreal Engine 5 for the hyperrealism, and I think it's the future, of course. So we didn't want to use technology that according to us is not up to date anymore, and it brings several challenges with it. But as you guys all know, building a metaverse, it costs a hell of a lot of money, and it will take a lot of time. So we want to have our art gallery ready so we can test it out and put it to the availability of everybody in the community, and to try to find solutions together and to update it and to make it better. There are lots of smart people in here, and I think that as soon as they are able to use it, that we can find better solutions, getting suggestions of the community as well. Thank you, Chris, by the way. What you said was very interesting as well. We'll try to get in touch with them.
I just want to add that I don't know if you guys are aware, but there was the Federal Communications Communications Commission proposed to raise the standard to 100 megabits per second for downloads and 20 megabits per for uploads. So I mean, we should be seeing maybe a new standard. I mean, it's definitely lining up with everything that's going on and everything moving to the cloud. So I think that's definitely a step forward, even though that might not be enough.
And what Chris said is also sorry. What Chris said is also very important, that the delay, if you are in a metaverse in a hyper-realistic environment, and if there's too much delay, it's just not... people will use it once and then they won't come again, because it makes you... it's like being on a boat, it's very unpleasant.
When does that standard become enforced? Like, what's the deadline?
I mean, I just read about it earlier this morning. I don't think it was actually going to be enforced. I think it was just something that it was written up and proposed, maybe brought up. But maybe I can bring it up in a minute.
Okay, here's a funny story. At this little stupid restaurant down at the end of the road, I ended up talking to the Comcast CEO. And I was just sitting there having a beer, and this guy comes in, and I start talking to him, and he actually knew what he was talking about, which was odd because he was older. And I looked him up the next day. It turns out it was a CEO, but he explained to me that the reason we can't upgrade the infrastructure on the like the networks, because at the end of the day, the internet is strung together with wires. Okay, like this isn't magic. There's stuff that towers, radio, whatever, but the towers are connected to wires. So he was like, it's basically has to do with all this a bunch of legal mumbo jumbo with how the rights to the pole are handled. Because if you can't get pole rights, then you can't string up more wires.
And you have to think about the energy cost as well, because I think that I spoke with somebody a couple of days ago, and he told me that we will be using the energy of what we did 2 years ago in 1 year. We will need every day.
Well, okay, so now think about do you know the term "go over the top"?
Yeah.
From this point of view. Okay, so now look at Starlink. What is Starlink doing? It's going over the top. How about you take your stupid wooden poles and have a great day, and we're just going to literally go over the top and beam internet down to the world. And whenever your poles are done rotting, cool story, bro. I mean, dude, it's pretty shrewd, but it's just like all the freaking not Madagascar, Mongolia, like Mongolia, when they put their phone network in, right? They never did wires. Okay, they went straight to just towers and radio wave stuff. They leapfrogged, or well, that's a leapfrog. That's not a go over. Go over the top's more of a competitive strategy.
Well,
Leapfrog.
I think that you can compare it as well to banking in Africa, for example. I lived in Africa for 10 years, and we all have a certain image of Africa. But in many ways, African banking is way more ahead than banking in Europe, for example, because for the same reason, they didn't have what we have, and we built on what there is, and we are stuck with the same infrastructure, and they just did something new. And that's why I strongly believe that building what we are building on Unreal Engine 5 is the future. And I'm not really worried. It's not because that today it's difficult, not impossible, but difficult, that tomorrow or next year it will be the same thing. So I'm a big believer in technology, as we all are in here, I think. So I'm not very worried that in the very near future there will be solutions.
I'm sure you know M-Pesa, right?
Yep.
Man, they were a absolute leading innovator. I mean, and people don't give, and you're 100% right with your comment. Africa's actually, well, they're leapfrogging the old world, or at least the old world monetary system, financial system. Dude, that was a super innovation. I mean, incredible. Just, I mean, it probably changed Tanzania's outcome. Tanzania probably would not be in the same state that it is today if M-Pesa didn't happen back then, and other countries too. And then the idea spread, which is an attestation to the quality of the concept, right?
I just want to give a little 10-minute warning because we're going to close up the space in right around 9 minutes, close it right at that 5 o'clock mark. And if anybody is in the audience wants to come up, has any questions, please feel free to hit the request and come up for a couple more minutes and speak with us. But I am loving this chat. And Gene, thank you for coming up and Huge Green Candle. I think you had a question earlier, man. I don't remember if you asked it or not.
It might have been Huge Green. I mean, I don't really have any.
Candle, yeah.
So I don't really have any questions. Just more so, like, kind of agreeing with Karma mentioning Starlink, because even their plain internet service is like 50 to 250 megabytes per second, or megabytes per second, and then their business is 150 to 500 megabytes per second. Just more so, making sure you have the adequate routers and modems to increase your bandwidth also, because bandwidth does play a big part in your connection too, because you can have the services but not large enough of a bandwidth for those services to be executed correctly or efficiently.
We need that fat straw.
But okay, a question: why is that an issue for the latency and stuff like that? Already known in video games. Like, why would that be an issue with like Metaverse?
You need to play. You need to play games. Then you gotta understand.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Understand it exists. Like, a lot of people play Call of Duty and stuff like that, and there is latency.
Exactly.
Like, it's not that didn't exist now. That's been going on for like years, and people complain about latency. So why would that be an issue? Because it's an issue everywhere.
Because someone can get a faster internet connection being hardwired through Ethernet, port in itself. I could run a Cat 8 cable and know that I'm going to get close to my gigabyte per second internet versus, Wi-Fi, where you're kind of throttled at anywhere between, 150 to 300 megabytes per second.
What I'm trying to say, that's not limited only to crypto or Metaverse or It's in games in general. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's but especially in games where you have like a lot of interactions. Like let's say in a metaverse, you I would say yeah, definitely you need, because the experience would suck. And for all esport title, I would say, like especially there, you definitely need like very very good connection, because like every second, every millisecond is making a difference. But yeah, you're right. It's in general definitely. But the thing, the difference I would say is, if you provide something like what Dirk is doing, then especially if you want like that people don't own the hardware and the very good connection, let's say, um, to make the experience for these people good, it's more challenging, let's say, as if with Call of Duty, because then it depends on your hardware. Like if you're like Call of Duty, like Activision doesn't care if you have like a bad connection or whatever, but maybe Dirk does care. So this is the I think.
I think to make it a nice user experience, and if you want to do full streaming to mobile devices, that's indeed the biggest challenge at this stage. Yeah.
Are you developing a game?
Well, we are developing a metaverse game, yes, on the XRPL.
Is it pay to earn?
Sorry?
Is it pay to earn or play to earn? Sorry.
No. We just partnered up with a very well-known esports team, and we will make it. It will be some kind of strategic sandbox, non-linear game. So it will be more than just a metaverse. You know, what is a metaverse? If you put a virtual room and two people in it, it's also a metaverse. So we will try to build it out in stages, and it will be comparable. I haven't been gaming for 20 years. I'm 40, maybe 25 years, so I'm not the biggest expert. I'm learning a lot lately. But I used to play in the 90s SimCity and Sid Meier's Civilization. So we want to make it an interesting strategic game, which is also a social meeting point and an interface to lots of other ventures. But it's a big venture, so we're still early.
Like, what is the goal of the game itself? Like, did you plan the game? Like, how is it gonna be? Like, what is the game experience? Like, are you gonna be having like environment and just meet people, or there is a game?
So we learned our lessons out of other examples that are well known. For example, a Sandbox and Decentraland. There's not much to do, so we want to combine the social Sandbox Decentraland experience with gaming, and it won't be a shooter or something. It will be more strategic, so that people can play, and they can play to earn, and they can build things themselves, and they don't have to buy in-game assets. That will be possible, but they are also they will also have the ability to like do certain missions and stuff to gain extra assets.
So my question: you still don't have a clear plan yet. Is that correct?
We will have our first episode ready, which is a virtual art gallery in a metaverse setting. So that's our test case. Initially, we started out as a project with some business-minded ideas, and we wanted to implement them in other metaverses. But we soon saw that most of them are not really interesting, and that most of them are built on Unity. So therefore, we decided to build one ourselves on Unreal Engine 5. And we are currently writing a document. I think it's about 130, 140 pages, which will be the complete game plan and game techniques and mechanics and stuff. So I hope to be able to present it to the community in the coming months.
Oh, I just wanted to say real quick, I don't know if you guys saw, but the Ripple Creator Fund, I believe is open now. I just see a tweet earlier today.
I just applied.
Nice. This one is they say they're looking specifically for music, but they are open to, for other concepts.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I hope for sure that it will be difficult. We all are here, all people of the XRPL community. Without bragging, it will be difficult not to have noticed Expector in the last 3 months. So I hope Ripple has seen what we did, and I hope that they appreciate it. So let's see.
Yeah, and thank you, Dirk, and thank you everybody who came up to be a speaker today, and everybody who comes to listen, and whoever listens in the future as well. If I could just ask everybody to subscribe to ledgerscale, because we host these Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and we do the spaces on Wednesday from 5 to 6, and on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from 3:30 to 5 typically, or 5:30. And I just, I thank you guys all for coming, because we wouldn't be hosting these if it wasn't for the community finding them valuable. And, I find these spaces, I feel like I'm learning new things every single time I host a space. So I'm really loving this. But I love you all, guys. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Yeah, and just none of this is financial advice. Just trying to discuss how these systems work. So Wednesday we've got Dr. Martin from Uphold coming on. We're going to talk stable coins and CBDCs. So that should be fun. And we do appreciate you guys joining. Your participation is key. All the questions, I think, help, because it just, people are thinking the same thing. And then, thanks for joining. If you want to donate to ledgerscale for now, hopefully soon I'll have other options, but for now there's just the addresses at the top of the ledgerscale account. So
if Dr. Heesbroek is joining, I will be certainly there, because I know him personally and he's a very fun and intelligent guy. So I think we do an AMA, by the way, as well on Saturday. I'm not 100% sure, and I think he will be jumping in as well. But I will be here on next Wednesday, for sure.
Yeah, excellent.
The one thing is Wednesday is at 5:00 Eastern PM. We normally start at 3:30, but the Wednesday, and it's only an hour. So I'm not sure if we are going to go over on the hour thing. There's going to be a lot to discuss.
Yeah, I have a feeling we'll go a little bit over, but I don't want to take up too much of his time either, because we booked him basically for an hour. I don't want to do that to him unless he wants that.
Yeah. Anyhow, thanks everybody. I appreciate you joining.
Yeah, I love you guys. Love the community. Thank you guys for coming, and I hope we pick this up tomorrow where we left off, because this was a fun conversation. Not everybody.